All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mindgasms. Gonna do another ensemble episode today with the woke centrist, aka Dusty Cubes, aka Dustin Cubit, and Drew Sample, the awesome farmer from the Sample Hour, and
Thanks, man.
Reid. Yeah, and he's in the closet right now.
I
He'll
am. I'm
probably
half
come.
in, half out.
Yeah, yeah, and got Reid Nicewonder, of course, who's helps out with mixed mental arts a lot and has his own YouTube channel too, Cordial Curiosity, right?
That's right. Welcome. Thank you.
And yeah, we're gonna talk about all sorts of exciting topics like the death penalty, fake news, science fiction, fantasy, and technology, and we'll see where we go from there. So, you guys want to start off with introducing yourself to those people who don't know who you are?
I think you just introduced us all.
Yeah,
I was
pretty
gonna-
much. Okay. All right. You guys want to start on any one of those in particular, or what? Doesn't really matter.
What were the? Yeah, let's let Dustin start.
Okay.
Hell no. You pick a topic.
I pick a topic. What were all? I mean, there was only like 20 of them. So let me think here. Let's talk about fake news.
Okay. I'll pretend to be Tim Pool now.
Yep, Tim Fool. We'll
Fucking fringe wackaloons.
I think he's right about the fringe wackoons.
I think
man.
he is. I think he is too. Yeah.
I think
Are
Tim
you calling
Pool.
me a fringe wackaloon?
Yes, indeed.
Like I think it's interesting that yeah, I think it's interesting that Tim Pool's kind of the only guy that's talking about him, and everybody else is just acting like it's that's just normal left and right behavior these days. But it's like it seems like there's I think he's right because I'm trying to find commonalities because I think that there's snowflakes on both sides of the pendulum, and
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
it's just identitarianism and the fake. I don't know if this has to do with fake news, but I feel like people perpetuate things quickly because they're all part of it. I think they're the ones galvanizing the outrage culture.
Yeah,
Well,
people
outrage
in
is
their
profitable.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
very profitable. That's the design of social media, right? To tie it into technology.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think
Like,
social media probably learned a few things from, the major media outlets.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever it bleeds, it leads, and people like even when you watch your local news, like the investigative reporters, what do they look for? Shit that will outrage like the local populace, like some businessman swindling a bunch of customers or something of that nature. Like it's
yeah.
rarely do you see these fluff pieces nowadays.
Oh yeah, because it's boring to people. Like, hey, did you hear about that business guy who treated all of his employees well and nothing went wrong? That's just boring.
I guess you do see it a little bit on social media, but
there's some
it's
positive stuff.
not.
It's
Yeah, there is a little bit out there, but I don't think it is as profitable as the outragey stuff.
Yeah, I think it comes down to morality binds and blinds. We're in a highly polarized situation right now, and it just when in that kind of culture, we are become just more motivatedly reasoning. So it's bad.
Very well said. Yes, totally. Yeah, and it's like with the with the way that social media is designed too, like Facebook and Twitter, for example, it points you to echo chambers. Well, it either points you to echo chambers or it points you to people totally outside of your echo chambers, so it can create conflict with people. And I think that helps, like this narrative that you and I were talking about yesterday, Dusty, about how people think that the majority of people on Twitter are the fringe wackaloons, where in reality the fringe wackaloons are fringe, So they don't actually represent the majority of people, but then media thinks that the fringe wackaloons do represent the majority of people, so then they report news about them as if they represent the majority of people.
Well, the majority of people are just lurkers. They're
Yeah.
people who don't really have an opinion, or they just don't broadcast it.
Yeah.
That's the majority of people are not very vocal about their political opinions online.
Yeah. Like probably something more like one of my friends, for example, if I talk to him about politics or something like that, we largely agree on most things. And then if he sees someone like a few people I know who are more extreme, post something extreme, like all these conservatives are immoral or something like that, he'll just be like, yeah, I'm not going to pay attention to him anymore. They don't really like engage with people like that.
Yeah, I try not to put a group in a bucket unless I'm really trolling specific people.
Yeah.
It's not me actually thinking that way. Like, for instance, I think there was some conversation on MMA about affirmative action, and I made a pretty, I guess, generalized statement about white liberals and some other stuff like that.
Hey, listen, Dusty. White liberals are just really upset about the way that you're treated in your everyday life, and you should thank them because you don't know what it's like to be you. And I think that you should really thank them for as much that they care about you, and they just want the best for you.
And you're probably racist against black people, I think.
There's
Probably.
definitely some false consciousness going on here.
Probably.
Well,
Yeah, I
it's
think it's very empathetic of them. I'll just say that right there. They're very empathetic of you and your feelings, and they just want to make sure that you're okay.
Yep.
They know that there's a racist behind every corner, just waiting to jump out and drop an M-bomb in your direction.
Yep, definitely.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I don't care. Let them drop an F-bomb. At least I know who are the ones that are capable of that type of language. I'd rather have it out in the open and to be able to discern the people who'd actually say that instead of the ones who are kind of secretive and kind of hide their motivations and stuff like that.
Seems like it's less likely to be out in the open if you go around saying that everyone is secretly racist, and then if people are more hesitant to say anything that might be interpreted as offensive, so it might lead to like actual racists perhaps hiding it more. Although I don't know if that logic really makes sense. Does it make sense?
Well, there's also the interpretation of what is offensive. Like,
it's pretty subjective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like somebody, like, there's probably a range of reaction to the N-bomb. I just don't happen to be one of those people who are just going to lose their minds and start throwing punches. Mainly in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, this guy lacks intelligence enough to use an actual witty comeback of any nature that he has to result in trying to piss me off with a word that doesn't have much power. And for me, at least, like that word is not something that insults my intelligence. It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb racist being dumb racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've said the N-word to you before, just like saying I when I told you the story about when I went to the bar with one of my black friends who I worked with once, and he introduced me as, hey, this my N-word Andrew to his black friends, and it made me feel so cool as a white person.
Was it GGA or GGER?
It was GGA.
Because that's totally different. I mean,
I
don't use either, but black people will throw the ER if they don't like another black person.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like it's not like that's just how they talk. I don't know why they don't say ER, because they're not trying to be offensive. But if they're trying to be offensive, they definitely pronunciate it, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do
I've
you think
witnessed
about
it.
You think that's true, Dusty?
Probably. I haven't witnessed it, but then again, I probably don't run in those circles, so I wouldn't really know.
Okay.
I mean,
Hey,
Chris Rock.
you're our expert on being
Yeah,
black.
you're an
Dusty.
expert on black people. You know how all black people think, right?
Well, it's not like I live in the DC ghetto.
I live in the
I live in the
ghetto.
suburbs, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm the ghetto
like-
bird here.
Yeah.
yeah. So he would know more about it than me.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I overhear it. I don't. I think they're scared of me sometimes, just because.
Scared of you.
Yeah, because they're like, what are these crazy white boys doing in here farming?
Oh
And
yeah.
especially because like Rich has this giant beard, and so they probably think we're gay too. So I don't really care. I mean,
Just
whatever.
a couple of fucking gay racist farmers.
I mean, I'm sure they say other stuff. I don't know. I try to be really nice to people. I don't mess with people. They don't mess with me. I think that's most of how it is in most areas. Like if you stay out of trouble, trouble stays away from you. Unless there's like a shootout. I don't have shootouts on my street. That's a few blocks over. That's where my buddy lives.
Oh wow.
And that's usually
Yeah.
over like some gang. Well, probably this gang drug shit, to be
Well,
honest.
do you hear it? Do you get to hear the
Oh,
shit?
I hear gunshots. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's pretty regular. And I honestly, man, it's most likely the white people, the white trash people that are shooting their guns more than black people that I hear. I mean, because it's pretty thick with white trash, urban white trash, which is a lot of areas aren't familiar with urban white trash. I think a lot of white trash secludes themselves to trailer parks, or I mean, in a lot of neighborhoods, but not in Ohio. That's why Sam Tripoli called us ghetto country. And I think it's a pretty accurate description of most cities, like especially like Cincinnati, Toledo, Dayton, Akron, Youngstown's a little bit different. It's not as Youngstown's more Italian. There's a lot more Italians there. It's not like there's not as many hillbillies there. So I'm the expert. Yeah, I'm the expert white ghetto. I mean, I'm not even that ghetto. I mean, I've lived in the ghetto for a while, but I don't know. I mean, it's whatever. It's funny to me. I mean, I like driving down the street, and actually, so this is pretty cool.
Here, I'm gonna ask you a question. Like,
Yeah.
say you had like this great sound system in your car, like a
Yeah.
subwoofers and all that. What would happen if someone of your complexion started bumping the ghetto from Too Short while driving down the street?
I mean, that's what else are they gonna bump, man? I mean, it's pretty common. I don't think they care. I mean, it's just who's ever bumping music is bumping music. Like they still might not like each other, but it's. I mean, I know in Toledo, like it was a lot of. I mean, it was more black people that were bumping, but I mean, everybody. If they have a system, they bump. That was kind of the way it worked, and actually, like all the white trash kids wanted systems to bump because they thought it was cool that the black kids were doing it. So why not they do it?
Yeah. I'd say I mean
be real, like they didn't care. It's not like you can't bump that music. They'd probably be like, yeah, get after it.
I see like
To be real.
I see all colors of people bumping their music, especially young people.
Yeah.
That's
What was? Oh, I did see. So this is cool.
Should bump.
So, and I'm gonna try to get some video next time I see it. But 2 Saturdays ago, I was running some errands. Maybe it's 3 Saturdays ago. I don't really remember. Oh no, it's a Sunday morning. It was 2 Sundays ago, 2 weeks ago. I'm driving some errands, and right on the corner, it's like further east of where I'm at. Like I live on a grid, so it's all shitty. The cops like to go 100 miles an hour down my street. So like and it's like a bike trail. Like it's a city bike path. So there's like I'll just say where it's at. Hudson and McGuffey. there's like I saw my first ever in real life the Black Hebrew Israelites. They were in their full garb, and I wanted to swing back to go see if they were harassing people and what they were saying to people. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. So,
Yes, the Covington kids.
well, that's where I
Oh,
first
is
heard
it?
of them, and then I went deep. Well, yeah, so they're the ones that started it. So they were talking shit to the Covington kids, and then then the fake veteran came and started beating his drum, and they thought that they were coming to like help them out, like, hey, because the Hebrew Israelites were talking shit about the Native Americans too, because they talk shit about everybody. They try to get everyone to kiss their feet and all that other shit. And then so that's where I first saw them. Then I went down that deep dark rabbit hole of who those people are, and it was pretty interesting. And then I saw some in person, and I was like, I would go there to like see what they said, but I got shit to do, and it's about to rain. So next time, I'll get that next
Okay.
time. So, but now I know that there's a corner where they like to, because I think their level of persuasion is fascinating. If you like watch the way they interact with people and how they can control people and kind of get them to engage with them in a certain way. And I think that's very interesting. I think especially when it comes to like interaction, like human interaction and persuasion. So I just wanted to put that out there. That wasn't that Drew's neighborhood was not on the list of topics for the thing. So, but I think it's interesting because we were to get back to fake news is that group is never talked about in the news, and I think it's pretty interesting. And if you watch their videos, they say some pretty offensive things to everybody. They call people Edomites, whatever that is, and then they say some really fucked up things that, I mean, it's entertaining to watch, but it's just pretty crazy that it's like, well, you know, I think they could be classified as a hate group, but I think for free speech, I'm okay with them. Like, I'm not gonna say break them up. I mean, they're a religion. So,
But are their words like truly from the heart, or are they just trying to roast people?
I think they're just trying to roast you because they're trying to trick you into engage with them, so then they can tell you about how you're going to be their slave someday and how they're going to rape all your white daughters and moms and wife and all that stuff. So I don't think it's from their heart, but I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean,
Well, the end goal sounds pretty
awful,
pretty hateful, yeah.
Pretty hateful for anybody that's not a Israelite. And their definition of an Israelite, because they say some pretty offensive things to Jews. There's a really good video where they actually get this Orthodox Jewish guy to kiss their foot. It's
Holy shit.
Well, yeah, they get
How'd they
multiple
do
people to
that?
kiss their feet. Man, you have to watch the way they do it. Is they like, if they can tap into like the white guilt that is very strong in white people today. If they can tap into the white guilt, some people will just be like, yeah, I'm sorry, and they kiss their feet. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah, if you just YouTube search foot kiss Black Israelite, that's gonna be there.
I bet I know one or two people who might do that out of their white guilt.
I mean, yeah, fake Hebrew Israelites. There's like it's like the second one. Sons of Yahweh is the YouTube channel. Yeah, white man kisses the feet of Hebrew Israelites. There's a lot of people. One says cuck alert, leftist bootlicker kisses the feet of black radicals. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. There's a lot of white people kissing feet of Hebrew Israelites.
Wow, I didn't even know that there was that rabbit hole to go down.
Oh, it's fascinating. I mean, I like to stay on the fringe people. Reid, have you ever gone down that rabbit hole? I'll figure I'll get you in here. I've never talked to you before. Me and Dustin and Andrew will just keep talking.
You and
I went. Israelites?
Yeah. You and I went into a little of something similar when we talked before, right? Reid, like some of the different cultural groups. Sorry?
We lost Dusty.
Oh.
No, we just lost him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's back. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Reid. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You were talking about the mimetic tribes white paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're on that spreadsheet, but I think they would count as a kind of maybe a subset of the religious right or something.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about those Black Hebrew Israelites? Do you know much about them?
I mean, I just know a little bit about them. I walked by them downtown at one point. I mean, I think they're sincere. I think they're just, just another fringe group. It's strange to see, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, do you guys think that like one aspect of technology to do with the political landscape and is that groups like those with with the ability to form echo chambers and stuff like that, it's like people are getting into these more and more specific mimetic tribes, and there's this like infighting and stuff like that. One that I was telling my friend about the other day who had never heard of before is the TERFs, the trans exclusionary radical feminists, which I was so fascinated by when I first heard about
because they
them.
don't like trans people.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and I was trying to figure it out, and someone explained to me on Mixed Mental Arts. I think it's that it's radical feminists who hate trans people because the trans people acknowledge that there are gender binaries and there are biological differences between men and women. Therefore, you are not allowed to be a feminist because you believe in gender binaries.
Well, if you I mean, if the course keeps continuing, I know it's like a small percentage of people, but like Adam Ruins Everything guy, when he went on Rogan, he was talking about how trans people should be able to compete in sports and like the whole Fallon Fox thing. And
oh wow, really?
Yeah. I mean, like Fallon Fox was a trans woman who fought women and beat the shit out of them. She did lose. But yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, am I wrong to think it's kind of like chauvinistic to want a man, a person that was born a man, to compete in sports against women? I mean, and I think too, there is like some edge. Like if you're that competitive and that's your whole life, and you're like, well, if I want to be the best in the world, and I'm not saying it's everybody that does this, because this is like a weird thing, but I do think like Caitlyn Jenner, like Bruce Jenner just killed that person when he was drunk driving. And then the settlement went, and then the main media was now, oh, he's transitioning. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that like that's the case for everybody. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm making a generalization, but there are, I feel like, specific cases to where people would want to transition for personal gain. Especially if you're already, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not going to say it happens all the time, but I think a lot of the famous, like the power lifter, who knows? I don't know. I mean, I don't know the power lifter, but they just set all the world records for powerlifting because the person used to be a man. It was a powerlifting man and then transitioned.
I mean, depending on where you live and like how much whatever sporting organization follows the rules and laws of that place, you could just say that you're a different gender. And
like what Zuby did in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, did someone already did that? I'm not surprised.
Zuby. Yeah, Zuby has a great podcast too, and he's a musician. Reid, are you familiar with Zuby?
I think I saw that video. It's like he just for the duration of the workout, he like identified as a woman.
And he broke all the world records.
Broke the record.
Oh,
and then he went back.
There you go. It's already happened.
But
that's the reductio ad absurdum of the position. So
yeah,
it's just so easy to break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say. I'm just gonna keep talking. What are the other topics? I'll keep talking, guys.
Well,
keep.
We didn't really talk that much.
Adam ruins everything.
Yeah, sure.
I haven't watched the show. My brother likes it, and then my brother likes it, and yeah,
I haven't really seen it that much. I think I've seen it maybe a few times, but then I watch other videos with other people kind of criticizing some of Adam on the show's critiques of things, and I just kind of haven't really watched much for probably a long time.
It's because he ruined everything.
Yeah.
you know, he doesn't like. I feel like he was really exposed on Rogan. Like, I didn't really watch it, and then it turns out like a lot of his.
He's an alt comic, and typically that's the politics of alt comic.
To be like alt left.
No, alt comic is kind of like the progressive.
They're post comedy now, right? Isn't that the new term, post comedy? I'm serious. No, I'm serious. The Australian lesbian lady has that special on Netflix, which isn't funny at all, and she just talks about how much her life has sucked being a lesbian and how she was raped and all this other stuff, which I don't know. I'm not going to say it wasn't true, but it was just strange. I mean, what?
Was that chick's name? I might have seen it, like Hannah or something like that.
No, I think the show is. I think the
Hanna-Barbera.
Which
Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
I don't know. Netflix has a lot of bad comedy. I mean, I think I think Trump being president has ruined a lot of comedy because comics, I feel like, are.
I think it's made it better in some ways too, though, because it's so easy to make ridiculous jokes.
Well, I think it's made it better, but not with most stand-up comics. I think a lot of the stand-up comics get jealous of Trump because he's doing like these 2-hour pro wrestling style stand-up comedian specials.
Yeah.
Like, I'm serious because he's funny like a pro wrestler. He's not funny like a comic. Like, he's funny like a heel pro wrestler would be.
Yeah.
And so he'll do like,
he has heel pro wrestler for a president. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Linda McMahon's in his cabinet. I've been really preaching the pro wrestling lens. I think me and Andrew went into it when I was on his show. I mean, Eric Bischoff did this TEDx talk, which was really good. And it was about don't be surprised if the next president wasn't an ex-pro wrestler. Donald Trump's already in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. There's like a lot of interesting things about it. And then even like if you think about after the Monday Night Wars, how the 24-hour news cycle changed, and it became more about having pundits on talking instead of actually reporting news. So they'll have experts to come on and have opinions about indictments of Roger Stone, which none of them have even read, but they have an opinion about it, which is really important. And then, I mean, and then that goes back to social media. Like, everyone wants to have an opinion, and I think everybody cares what their political thoughts are, and nobody does. I mean, it's just one of those. So now stand-up comedians are going, and their whole thing is, I hate Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. Like, I went to Doug Stanhope's show last night, and he didn't even want to talk about Trump. He said, it's like, I don't want to say his name, it was kind of funny, but it was kind of stupid at the same time. But whatever, he has to play that game. Otherwise, and nobody's going to talk to you if you say I love Donald Trump and you're in Hollywood or in that or in entertainment. So he was saying, like, the last story before Trump got elected was about the guy that had to wrestle an alligator that that attacked and kind of ate his kid at Disney. Do you guys remember this?
No.
I know. I didn't.
2-year-old got
eaten. Yeah, and the guy had to go wrestle this alligator. They're at Disney where everything's fake, and that was it. I don't want to ruin his bit, even though I probably just did. So sorry, Doug. But that was just kind of, I didn't really ruin his bit, but that's what he was taught. He talked about that.
That's a good analogy for what you could say the political landscape becomes with Trump. It's like some guy wrestling an alligator where everything is fake.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, But I think too, it's like, what are you gonna say, Reid? I'm sorry.
Was that Disney or like Alligator World, like on the side of a highway in Florida?
No. That is near Gator World is near Disney, but no, it was at Disney. They were at some park. I can look it up.
Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter that much.
It was like one of those resorts in
Yeah, it was a
Florida.
Disney resort.
Yeah, and they didn't have proper warnings for alligators.
Well, here's the thing. If you're in Florida, you should assume there's alligators in every pond and everything of water. Like, I'm being dead serious. They are everywhere. And you should know that automatically. And, Disney gator attacked 2-year-old Nebraska boy found dead. June 16th, 2016. So, yeah, so that wasn't, it wasn't quite, it was a few months before the election. But they were from Nebraska, so that makes sense. Ooh, they have a nice photo of this kid. Unprovoked alligator attacks. I guess there's been 257, 8 children. It's a 1 in 2.4 million chance. So that family should play the lottery, in my opinion. That was a bad joke. Sorry, guys. Reid was like, I really didn't want to know any of that, Drew. Do you remember when you were like, when I was like, yeah, no, I'm fine with that. You don't need to tell me that story.
That's what were we talking about? What were we talking about?
Oh, the gator. I said that they should win the lottery because there's a 1 in 2.4 million chance that gator would eat their kid.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of alluded to earlier the whole like fake news thing. I don't know. You guys want to get into that more? Like you mentioned one of them, Drew, like the Covington kids, and then there's the whole Jussie Smollett thing, and I kind of consider Russiagate to be in a similar category, and there are lots of other examples too.
Yeah,
fake news, man.
Yeah.
I think Russiagate was a conspiracy. Reid, what are your opinions? I'm just going to keep talking, and I don't want to be that guy.
On fake news?
Sure, yeah.
I'll try to make a more specific claim. Like, I can rule out, mainstream media is not all false. All independent media is not all false. It's a mix of both. There is bias in a lot of mainstream media, print, and just TV networks. And there's, I think it is following a kind of narrative with, left-wing narrative on a lot. And, Fox News has their right-wing narrative. And it's just, they don't cover stories that go against the narrative. And Covington, I think, is a perfect example of that. It's just, Tim Pool, did a great coverage of it. He looked up the video and watched it.
Yeah.
It's all on video, where, the Black Israelites were harassing the kids, and the kids were just kids. They did nothing really wrong. And then the
smirkening.
The smirk. Yeah, it's just that image.
Smirk seen across the world.
When you watch that thing, an all thing, it was like he was actually looking at that guy with respect. Like when you actually like see that video in full context, like he thought there was something special going on between him and is this an offensive term, that wagon burner? No, I'm just teasing, guys.
I've never even heard that before.
It's probably a Ohio term.
No, I think I heard that on Cumtown.
Well, it's because in Ohio, that's where the Oregon Trail go through there.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm part wagon burner.
There you go.
I know that.
There you go.
Yeah, but there is a problem with activists as journalists. And the activists wanted to have that image of him smirking with the MAGA hat on against a Native American person. So it's white Christian male versus the lowest of the low oppressed group. That's
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's one distinction that everybody needs to know. An activist is not a journalist, they are a propagandist.
Yes.
Those are oxymoronic things. You cannot be both a journalist and an activist. That's
There's a lot of
just
money
not
in
something that
activism
exists.
too. That's why
Yeah.
what's her face
Yeah.
left ESPN and now is an activist. What was her name? Didn't she used to be on like some show where she used to be Skip Bayless? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
I don't really
haven't
watch
watched ESPN in years, man.
I know because it's terrible. It's just like CNN. I mean, it's like they just create.
It's like
I mean,
CNN.
they do, yeah, because they don't actually talk about news. It's like, Jaws says, I don't think Dwayne Haskins Jr. Jaws never said this. I don't think Dwayne Haskins Jr. is a good quarterback, and he's not going to do well in the NFL. So I'm just saying that because that was Ohio State's quarterback. So then,
Oh, so it's
the
opinion.
rest of the day, let's get back to what Jaws said. Stephen A. Smith, what's your opinion? Woody, what's your you know what I mean? It's all about
Right.
opinions and speculation, and it's not really about news. Then there's Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter says this. And it's like the same business model as CNN or Fox News or any of that shit. They create their own news stories to keep you glued in, like, oh, I want to hear his opinion. Because I used to buy into all that shit. I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to know what they say about that.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking about my team, which is the same thing in politics. I can't believe they're talking about my man Joe Biden like that. He's not molesty.
Yeah. You know, that Trump guy, he really cares about people. He really wants to make America great again.
Oh, I'm sure he cares about everybody. Yeah, he's a great humanitarian, that's for sure.
And you know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she really wants to fix the world with her Green New Deal. It's going to work totally.
She's more. I think she's more effective than Trump on social media, to be honest. Like, I think everyone's calling her dumb, but man, if she said we should start supporting nuclear power, I bet there'd be a lot more leftists saying it.
I bet the right
might be
has
good.
done the most to actually boost her profile.
Yeah, just like the left
Probably,
with
yeah.
Trump.
Every video you see of AOC from more right-leaning people, the picture on it is her with some like crazy expression, like.
Well, her profile is. I think the same thing happened to Trump. Like,
Yeah.
he was such a media presence that actually helped him more than hurt him, and that's the same thing with AOC.
Yeah,
Like
she'd have way less popularity if it weren't for something like Twitter.
Yeah. I'd say that as well.
Well, she's propped up by the Justice Democrats, and she was selected and trained. But Reid was about to say something, and then we all talked over him, and Reid is so polite. Reid, what were you about to say?
I mean, I think it all comes down to what, Jonathan Haidt says and Greg Lukianoff in the Calling the American Mind. It's the great untruth of us versus them with fake news. It's just dividing people into good people versus bad people, and just radically, like, every person in the out group is bad. And so,
yes, libertarians are evil.
Yep.
Right wingers are immoral.
And dumb.
Well, I mean, if I had to say I was closest to anything, I would say I'm close to being libertarian, but a lot of them are pretty fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie about that.
Dusty and I were talking yesterday about how ridiculous anarcho-capitalists are.
Reid, what's your opinion?
On what?
Annoying libertarians and anarcho-capitalists.
I mean, I think they just like the government is a conspiracy theory type of thing.
To them?
To them, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna debate that it's not a conspiracy theory. I mean, men did conspire to form this country. I mean, that is fact.
Yeah.
But
to get away from the control of the British Empire, right?
Yeah, but I'm not going to dwell on it. I mean, that happened 200 years ago. It's we're not going to fucking change that. You know what I mean? Like, we're not. So I mean, I agree with what you're saying though. Like, I I go pretty conspiracy pretty quick. But it's usually like it's usually corporation based or something like that. Like, okay, why is this in the media so much? Okay, is it to do with money? Like, are we? So I joked before and said I was an anti-vaxxer. I'm totally not an anti-vaxxer.
Oh, I
But
totally thought you were.
no. Like, I was just trolling. But I do think that we should talk about the fact that it is weird that there's so many stories about vaccines right now. And I really wonder if these drug companies don't have a lot of vaccines that are about to expire. So they're really pushing them hard in the media, especially since the drug companies give the media so much money with their commercials that say, take this drug, even though its side effects could include death. And so I think that's interesting.
So you
So
think the drug companies are conspiring to release measles into the public?
well, I mean, here's the deal. The worst that you get from measles is you're sick for a week. Like,
No,
how
the
many
worst
people?
thing you get from measles is permanent brain damage.
Yeah, and how often does that happen?
Well, how often do people get the measles?
I mean, but these are the same people that not often. So, but also these are the same people that do push drugs where a side effect is death. So, you know what I mean? Like, drugs fuck people up
Yeah.
a lot. So I wouldn't put it past them. Again,
But I mean, like vaccines, for example, they actually have doctors and researchers working on and designing them in perhaps like a different way than a lot of pharmaceutical drugs get produced.
do
Like
they?
like with the like if you're talking about like the prescription drugs that people get prescribed, they can just perform a study and keep doing it until they get a desired result, and then they can market the drug, um like if they can market the drug if they want to like cut corners and stuff like that. They don't have to show that it's been proven to be effective in replicated scientific studies or anything like that. And I wouldn't, I'm not saying that necessarily vaccines have to meet that either, but like for example in that podcast that you posted on one of the groups here, Dusty, that Joe Rogan podcast with Peter Hotez, he was going into detail about how they design and you manufacture the vaccines, and like the process sounds like it's a lot more intricate, and there are more guidelines than there might be with pharmaceutical prescription drugs in the pharmaceutical industry, perhaps.
Yeah, he's trying to describe too, like the actual contents of the vaccines. And the modern vaccine is just dead virus and saline solution.
Yeah.
There's like not much else in there except for those two ingredients.
And as far as I'm concerned, like never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by ignorance. So
Yes, Hanlon's razor.
yeah,
It's totally fine, guys. I'll just respectfully disagree. I look at the CDC's website. I'm like, geez, how come if I have an injury from a vaccine, I can't go through the normal channels and have to go to this special court? To me, that's fascinating. I mean, I'll just say that if what other industry or what other thing
Well,
has
what
its
other
own court?
channels are we talking about?
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't take a drug company if I got damaged from a vaccine. And there are potential side effects to vaccines. I mean, they're listed on the CDC's
you said there's
website.
a court though, right?
Yeah, but it's a special court, and usually they pay out settlements. It's not like I can hire a lawyer and just sue a drug company and have a big class action lawsuit. Like that doesn't exist. You don't get the same due process. I mean, maybe it's better, but from my understanding from people's that like, and again, I have anecdotal evidence. I know a couple people have had vaccine injuries, even though that's I guess they're supposed to be really rare. So I guess I should play the lottery too, that I know that many people too. So I'm just saying that I think people tend to think they tend to use razors and think that, oh no, nobody's out for malice. But at the end of the day, we're in the United States of America. Are we going to pretend like we don't do shit to like for corporations, that Blackwater's not all over Africa doing a ton of shit right now, that Donald Trump is okay with, you know what I mean? Like Eric Prince he's just raking in dough right now. And I think that, you know, so I'm not going to like lose sleep over it. That's for sure. I'm not going to like be like, oh, these goddamn vaccines, blah, blah, blah. But I am going to say that, you know, if it's in the media that much and they're telling everyone to get vaccinated right now, that's kind of suspicious. I mean, how often
people are getting measles? People don't get measles.
But I mean, like, if people get chicken pox again, like, I mean, I had chicken pox. I have a scar right here. But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, so yeah, potentially you could get brain damage from anything. You get brain damage from the flu, or you could die. So I mean, like, I'm not trying to say. I mean, look, I'm not saying. Obviously, I'm not saying we should be getting measles, but I mean, it is kind of weird that the German measles was at the Detroit Auto Show, but I guess there's Germans. Yeah, they had rubella. That's what rubella is.
What's German measles?
Rubella.
Okay.
Detroit Auto Show. So I mean,
how's it different from other measles?
I'm not 100% sure.
People get it.
Well, yeah, you have to be. Yeah, so rubella is also called German measles. It is not caused by the measles virus and has a completely different set of problems. So that was rubella that is coming. It's not actually, I don't think it's actually the measles. So it's the German measles. So yeah, so I think that's kind of weird that it was rubella, the German measles. Well,
it seems like
what are Germans bringing their measles here for? What are their stringent vaccinations? Reid,
it seems like
that's what you're doing right now.
What?
I'm just teasing. Let's do it like the McLaughlin group.
It seems like Dexter, be quiet.
Little yapper.
Sorry.
You're fine.
It's like it sounds like you're saying that your main problem is I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you're saying that your main problem is the pharmaceutical industry, and I mean, I would say that there's a hell of a lot of reason to not trust the pharmaceutical industry. So that's like I agree that there's a lot of reason to be skeptical about that, but I just think that like there are details to do with how the vaccines are designed, and like whether people have genetic predisposals to developing certain reactions to vaccines, and so much more than I can remember, like that Peter Hotez guy that he went into. And like to your point about that Hanlon's razor do not attribute to malice that which can be attributed to ignorance. I don't think the point of that is that there are no evil people or people don't behave maliciously or something like that. It's more like it's more reasonable to assume that something bad happens due to a mistake or ignorance, rather than that it's due to people being assholes and trying to hurt people. Like you mentioned Trump, for example, and he's done bad shit like that, and he's bombed Yemen more than Obama has, and he's participated in regime change wars and authorized drone strikes on countries without declaring war on them, and he's a war criminal. But I think that he's done more, like the bad shit that he's done is more due to ignorance than malice. And some of the bad stuff that he wanted to do, he has been incapable of doing because he's too ignorant to make it happen too.
Maybe. I don't know. He seems pretty smart in certain situations. I don't know. I think he's pretty
good at
clever.
Being a pro wrestler.
He's good at making the media talk about him. That's for sure.
Yep.
He's always been good at that.
Yeah, he's lived there. So I don't know. Like, I'm just saying I don't know, and I'm skeptical. Like, I'm not gonna just accept. Like, I've been vaccinated. I got all my vaccines. I never had any issues. I don't get sick that much.
If you had a child right now Would you have them get vaccinated?
I don't know if I'd get all 65 vaccinations for a baby. I'd take a look at the CDC.
65.
Yeah, it's a bunch of vaccinations that they want for
I
children.
didn't give my child 65.
Yeah, certain doctors recommend it. It depends on your doctor, I guess. I mean, I would look at all the vaccinations and I would say, okay, what's in this? Let's go to the CDC site. Let's do this. I do my due diligence. So, yeah, I mean, that's just all I'm saying. Do your due diligence and make an educated decision. Don't get a vaccine just because the media is pushing it on you. I think that's been my comment for a while, just because I think you need to make your own, you know, use your own education. It's just like, I don't get the flu shot because I don't think that they're that helpful. The last time I got the flu was when I got the flu shot. I don't have the flu since I got my last flu shot. I eat pretty well. I eat local honey. You know, I eat real food. I exercise a lot. And I think like taking care of your body, our body's immune systems are pretty incredible. The human body is very resilient if it's healthy. So
Yeah.
that's what I try to do, a lot of preventative wellness. But I mean, I don't know. I think, you know, I'm not going to say do or don't do something. I'm just going to say do your due diligence.
Yeah.
Or take something or not take something. I mean, it's just like this. Like, I personally don't want to take antidepressants, but I know a lot of people, family members especially, that said, yeah, I tried everything I could to overcome depression naturally. Personally, I ate a bunch of mushrooms and that helped me, but it still took a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that everybody should go take mushrooms if they're suffering from depression. It helped me, but it took me about a year to work through stuff. I mean, I was already doing like a lot of behavioral psychology with myself and just really getting into different stuff and just reading books because I never had good experiences with therapists. So that's what was right.
Yourself?
What's that?
Did you practice some personal CBT?
What's CBT?
Cognitive
behavior therapy.
therapy.
Yeah. So I did that a lot because I did that a whole lot because I was going into I got a DUI and you have to go to, well, I lawyered up, so I didn't actually get a DUI, so I can still go to Canada. But one thing for me was I knew going into the mandatory drunk camp that it was going to be pushing Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah, that's what I call it. It's like basically in Ohio and a lot of states, if you get a DUI, you can either go to jail for the weekend or you can go to hotel jail where it's like rehab. But the only thing they do.
So how long do they hold you up for a DUI or suspected DUI?
So, okay, when I got arrested, I was taken to jail and it was in a suburb and they just really wanted to give me a ticket and get that revenue. So they were like, well, you need to get a ride. You can't stay here, but you have to get somebody to bail you out. So it's like, because pretty much they'll be like, well, you're going to go to county if you stay here. So you got to figure out a way to get a ride. So I was like, oh, okay. So I was bailed myself out. It was like a $200 bail. Apparently in Dublin, Ohio, you can. And then this dude, my buddy came and picked me up. And then I hid in my room for like a day. And I was all psychologically messed up. But it was a good thing that it happened to me. And then,
if you didn't bail yourself out, how long would you been in there for?
Probably till the morning, or I would have had to call my mom and have her bail me out. I was on my way to her house to go crash. Like I wasn't actually impaired while I was driving. I definitely shouldn't have been driving, but like I wasn't impaired, like in the sense that there was nothing wrong with my driving, but it's still like I don't.
How'd they stop you then?
They said that I didn't do a complete stop at the line because at the stop sign there's a line, and I stopped in front of the line.
Oh, okay.
And then when they pulled me over, I cried like a little bitch and was like, "You got me finally! I've been drinking and driving for years." And I thought they just let me call my mom because I was drunk, and they didn't. They arrested me and towed my car. And then it cost me like, I think it all in all with a lawyer and everything, it probably cost me like $5,500.
Holy shit.
5,500?
Well, total, yeah,
Jesus.
like, yeah, I mean, because I had to get my car out of the impound and all that stuff. But to
Well,
get back,
damn.
yeah, to get back to it, so like I then like I was just on this path of like sabotaging myself, and so it was one of those things that it's just like I'm not gonna go. I don't want to go to a therapist. It's never helped me. I was forced to go to therapy as a child when my parents split up, and I think it fucked me up quite a bit. And then because what I really needed was just to like what I
Some
needed
home cooking.
well, no, it was like I needed to adjust to a lot of things culturally. And I think and not being near my family sucked and everything else like that because my parents split up. We moved like 3 hours away. So and it was just us. So it was just like my mom and my two brothers. So but anyways, so to get back to like why I decided to look into behavioral therapy, I knew I had a problem with drinking, and I knew like drinking was a crutch for me. So I was looking at what the recovery rates were for Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's only like 20%. And then behavioral
Were
therapy.
you an alcoholic?
I wasn't a chemical dependent. Reid, I'm looking at Reid, and he's like, this conversation sucks. He's like, I came here to talk about technology and all this stuff. I want to get prepped for
Just,
Game of Thrones.
Is this a therapy session or like what are we
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, it's a Drew
Yeah,
sample
sorry,
therapy
Reid.
session.
See, Reid, that's why I wanted you to
Alright.
talk. I'll take
Damaged
over the
human.
conversation, and I don't want to make Reid hate me, but basically, I did research on my own, and that's how I came to that conclusion. So sorry to totally break this down and why I did that. Anyways, Reid, let's let Reid lead this conversation, because I saw Reid like putting his hand in his hands. I'm like, God, Reid does not give a fuck about anything I'm saying right now.
I
We
mean,
need to cut this conversation going.
it's fine. Whatever we want to talk about. It's Andrew's channel. So what do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, what were your other topics, Andrew?
well, one of them was the death penalty. We get into that.
Yeah, did that come up in the news recently about something?
No, I just thought it was kind of a random political topic that it would be interesting to get all of your opinions on, because I don't think any of us have talked about that explicitly.
No, I think death penalty is dumb.
Yeah, I actually
Necessary.
used to be for the death penalty in some cases, because I thought like serial killers like Ted Bundy or something deserve to be killed. But then I kind of changed my mind after I watched this Werner Herzog documentary called Into the Abyss, and it basically kind of convinced me that, you know, even if we're talking about someone who's a fucking terrible serial killer, usually they have family members, and if you're killing that person, you're really just punishing the family members more than anyone else, because the person if the person is dead, they don't really care, in my opinion anyway. And plus, like, someone has the job of killing someone, so that's going to take a toll on them, because they're still killing someone, even if they really are killing a terrible person. And then sometimes people get wrongfully killed on the death penalty too. I mean, probably not that often, but it does happen. So I mean,
I think it would be interesting if there was an eye for an eye system, but none of them led to death. So, you know, if you have like rapists and stuff like that, you can turn them into eunuchs. I think that would be interesting.
that would be interesting.
Yeah, just turn them into a eunuch. That would be great. I think that's a great punishment. And just like other things, like, I don't know, like, I don't think you should kill anybody, but you should definitely not make their life easy. So I wish there was an option for the people, like say, okay, we can have the death penalty, or we can amputate both of your legs. Which one do you choose?
You could
And
even
I believe
like
most people would not pick death, so I thought that would be interesting.
even
Give
if
them a
you
choice.
gave people a choice between like the rest of their life in prison and death, some people might still choose death in that scenario too.
I think they should be allowed to choose death. I just don't think we should push it on them. Like if they want to die, let them. But I don't believe they should be mandated to be killed.
Okay.
So
So what?
that society should be punishing criminals for death. If this is death is not a deterrent, like what is the purpose of killing a criminal? I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of that is.
I think the idea is to make sure that they can never hurt anyone again. At
Well,
least
that's
in
what
theory.
prison is for.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Exactly. So what do you guys think about this, Reid and Drew?
I'll let Reid.
Okay,
I was gonna say I'll let Reid go first.
cool. I think it was Dylan Roof, the guy who shot up at the Charleston church a couple years ago, just got sentenced to death, like put on death row.
Oh,
And it's conflicting. Like, I guess, yeah, like definitely, like if he was executed, I wouldn't feel bad about it. But is that going to help, set this cultural norm of like, don't shoot up churches? Like, do we really need him to die for that norm to be, set more in stone? And I think that's pretty much, assumed in our culture. But I don't know. It's hard to say. And then there's also the argument around like this book called Why Honor Matters. Like it has to do with figuring out what the victims' families want as well. Like if they had, like they should be in this decision as well. If they're Christian and they want to forgive this person, then their view should be taken into account possibly. So it's complicated.
yeah, that's a good point.
I
Yeah,
think
I think it's very hard. Like, I'd love it. Like, this is what would be my dream scenario. Not for myself, but like if this ever happened to me, like if one of my family members got killed, I wouldn't want the dude to die. I'd just love him to be strung up like a punching bag and just let me go at him for 10 minutes every weekend. I think that would be a great way to administer justice.
That sounds more harsh than death in some ways.
10-minute beating, once a week. It's gonna build up some resilience within the dude. He's gonna have to learn how to take blows. So I'm not gonna kick him. I'm just gonna use punches. So I don't have
Okay.
to worry about like extreme damage. So I'm just gonna punch him in the body blows to the gut.
Bare
Yeah,
knuckle punches?
No, I would be wearing gloves. I don't want to really mess up my hands.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that would be an apt punishment. So just like child molesters, they tend to die in prison. But
Yeah. Get murdered.
they're called chomos in jail, and yeah, the guards do. The guards typically either the guards fuck them up, or they have some of the gangs fuck them up. The guards
Okay.
pretty much say who's been convicted, and then they're known as chomos. A buddy of mine was telling me he was in jail for nonviolent crime, and he had to do 2 years for nonviolent crime.
What did he do?
Well, it probably maybe allegedly had something to do with cannabis and the
2
propagation
years?
of cannabis. Yeah.
Jesus
Probably
Christ!
added joints
Yeah.
or something like that.
No, he was a grower.
Oh, okay.
So you're like, oh, okay, it makes it better. No, I'm just kidding. So most of Ohio
No.
doesn't care, but like certain counties that are still pretty conservative and religious do. And he was telling me when he was in jail, that was like a regular thing. They called them he would say, yeah, the chomos. And I never heard that slang before. and he was saying how they just beat the shit out of him, and then like
Did
it's
he
like
beat the shit out of some showman?
no, he was not trying to. He was just trying to survive and be cool. I haven't talked to him too much about it. I don't. He likes to talk about how good life is outside of jail, so we just talk about that. But my opinion of the death penalty is, I mean, I think we need prison reform in general. Have you guys ever seen Until the Night Takes Us?
No.
Or The Light Takes Us? It's this documentary about black
about
metal.
alien abduction.
No, it's about black metal in I think like Norway or Sweden. One of those.
Oh, that guy who was that band who was burning down churches.
Well, he was charged for burning down churches. If you asked me, I would say yeah, I'm pretty sure he did do it, but there wasn't a lot of evidence. But he claimed that he killed this guy in self-defense. But even when he tells the story, I mean, even like he's got a YouTube channel, and actually he's an identitarian, actually, but he's like that older European style. It's pretty interesting.
White genocider.
No, he just thinks white people should live with white people and all that stuff.
So he's a white segregationist.
In a way, yeah. What was his name? But anyway, so he went to jail until the light takes us. Yeah, it was on that. I think it might still be on Netflix. But it's a good documentary. And so he killed that guy, and then he got 25 years. So you don't get the death penalty there. And he got 25 years, and they treat prison like it's rehabilitation. Unlike us, so we treat prison where it's like crime school. It just makes dudes hardened. So I think we need just prison reform in general. I don't have the answers. I think his name's Varg. Yeah, Varg Vicknerns, but his real name is Lewis Catchett. Let me see.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that was his real name.
Yeah, no, it's like Lewis Catchett, but no, I think he changed his name or something. I'm not sure. Vickerns, I'm not sure. Those guys he was from Norway. Life After Imprisonment. Yeah, he's wrote a Norwegian language book, but like, so I mean, the reason why they were burning down churches is because the Catholics came in and wiped out all the Norse history. So he said, we don't have our history anymore. The Catholic Church took it away from us. So they just burned down all the churches. And the churches were like super old. But yeah, his views. I mean, if you go to his Wikipedia page, he's into Norse mythology combined with occult National Socialism. This is Wikipedia.
So he likes Neil Gaiman?
Maybe,
That'd
yeah.
be cool.
Maybe. He writes a lot of books and he's still making music. But I think
okay.
he's wrote a book. He's an interesting dude. He's got a YouTube channel. I definitely don't agree with him. I mean, he is kind of blatantly kind of racist and anti-Semitic. But he's fat. I'm not going to say he's not fascinating. Like, he's still interesting to listen to. I don't agree with him, but I think he's interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
What do you think about the new synagogue shooting thing?
There's another one? Or the Pittsburgh one?
No, there's one in San Diego.
When did this happen?
A couple days ago.
Fuck, I'm unplugged. That feels good. I don't know yet. I haven't looked into it. I was gonna start looking into that stuff today. Because Reid, do you want to break it down? You seem to know. I just want Reid to talk because I'm just gonna talk over him constantly.
I think it's basically a copycat of Christchurch. I think it was only one victim though. I don't know how many were wounded, but yeah, basically a copycat.
Copycat. Well, Christchurch, they shut up Muslims. You mean the one in Pittsburgh? Or was did they live stream it?
It's a copycat as such that he had a manifesto with a lot of internet culture memes in it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
like
I don't know.
8chan type of 4chan person.
Oh, right. Okay.
This is really, I don't know, man. What do you think of it, Dustin? I mean, we're from that world.
Well, that was in my stomping grounds. Well, my stomping grounds is huge. San Diego's a giant county, but I don't know, man. I would just say maybe they should just change the name of the synagogues. Yeah, because a synagogue, it just sounds evil, synagogue. It just doesn't, it sounds like a place that's an attackable entity. So they just need to get a nicer name, something that rolls off the tongue a bit.
Yeah. What should they call it? Should they call them safe spaces?
Definitely not synagogues or tabernacle. That's another evil sounding place of worship.
The fluffy,
But,
safe Nerf gathering.
Yeah, that's
happy prayer play.
I mean, I drove through Squirrel Hill last weekend where that shit went down in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think we need
Squirrel Hill? Is that like a level in Sonic the Hedgehog?
It's it should be. It's a really nice neighborhood in Pittsburgh. I mean, we have a huge Jewish community here, Bexley. So I mean, I sell to a few restaurants there. I love Bexley. Like Bexley, they had the only independent movie theater when I was growing up, so I went to Bexley quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
such a hipster douchebag. And because you couldn't like watch movies on the internet, so I was like, oh, I want to see this movie Donnie Darko, or what else did I see there? The Brotherhood of the Wolf, like the cool indie French films and stuff like that, wasn't played.
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Dude, that was an awesome movie, man. I mean, if you
no, it was great. It has some great fight scenes in it.
Yeah.
It's weird in French though.
I haven't seen that one.
It's interesting. I like it. It's a classic. I mean, a lot of people didn't understand that what the beast was, and I was like, well, you didn't read the subtitles, did you? I mean, it was I thought it was pretty creative. But yeah, I mean, so for me, like, I mean, like it's a college town though. Like everything's a college town in Columbus, so it's either a suburb or a college town. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are there any fringe wackaloons that want to change the name of your city?
No. No. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Like we have fringe wackaloons. But no, they love Columbus. There's so many hipsters. That's the thing. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna come up. But no, they just want to change the name of Columbus Day or whatever. I don't know. Because we used to have a replica of the Santa Maria in one of our rivers, and it was like a tourist thing, and then we were like, yeah, we don't need that anymore. We got more tourism coming, and then like just more money and more people kept moving into the city, and it just doesn't stop. But we have a pretty diverse population. We're the third densest Somali population in the world.
Really?
Yeah. We're right behind Minnesota, whatever city. I think Minneapolis, and then Somalia. And we have a bunch of Moroccans. It's good for food. We have Ethiopians. We have
there's a bunch of Nigerians over here.
We have Nigerians too. They're usually the ones I know own. Oh no, never mind. They're from Ghana. We have Nigerians too, though. But yeah, I mean, I used to sell. I used to sell a lot of phones to some guys from Africa that had trucking businesses, and I sold them some tablets and stuff when I was still selling phones. But anyways, I think the shootings is a big tragedy, man. Yeah, like I think it fucking wackos ruin it for everyone, and then everyone's gonna make it about their political thing. Then we're gonna have a stupid gun debate again, and everyone's gonna be like, we just need to get rid of guns. It's like
the weird thing about 4chan and 8chan, I always thought is they were people just joking around, and you're not supposed to take any of that shit seriously, but apparently some whack jobs do.
Well, I mean, if you think about 4chan and 8chan, it's usually, I think it was originally people that just would go there for lulz. I highly recommend the documentary Hacker Wars. There's one on Anonymous. and then there's another one about Pirate Bay, and that gives you a pretty good history of it. But I mean, yeah, there was just memes like, oh, old fags can Triforce and all this other stuff, and that's what I remember. I just go to B, 4chan B, and it was just like, I mean, some of the stuff was like, it was like who can take stuff to the worst level. I mean, there was like that one meme, like cut her in half and have a threesome and all that other stupid shit that people used to say.
Wow.
Like it was just stuff that was ridiculous that you knew was ridiculous. And now it's like, we're in the time of incels and all this other shit, and people haven't developed their communication skills properly because they're just on the internet using 7% instead of the rest of the 93. So then they go into the real world and they don't know how to communicate. And how old was this guy? Who's the person that supposedly shot him up? Because I don't know about this.
I don't think it's that old. I think under 30.
Reid, do you know?
I don't know.
Just like some white dude, but
well, that's not a surprise.
They all come from Pole. They all come from the Pole board, though. It seems.
Huh.
It's just that board. That board.
Which board?
Paul.
I just would go to B. Everything else looks stupid and annoying. I was like,
well,
B
Paul is like the anti-PC board.
Oh. Well, I mean, I thought just that was all 4chan, period. Like just existing, it's anti-PC.
Well, Paul is specifically about politics. POL.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. 4chan was mainly.
There was kind of like a 4chan light when they had that Candid app. Did any of you guys use that?
No.
I did, yeah.
I was using that too because it's basically 4chan, but like easier to navigate.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I hit 4chan B because that was random. So that's what I always go to, but now it's just poll. So the first thing you can search is
politics
poll.
board, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow, somebody put the logical fallacy thing on poll? That's pretty crazy.
Well, poll is like politics, philosophy of those political positions.
Yeah,
crazy,
I went to
macaroons.
Yeah, I went to B, and it's just random stuff. That's what I was like, oh, here we go. Pictures, here's my ex-girlfriend, and you get like nudes of someone's ex-girlfriend, and then you get two random dudes, and then people just say a bunch of jokes. You get weird hentai stuff. You get pictures of feet. You get pictures of girls in bikinis. You get what's that that famous Swedish guy that's on
PewDiePie?
PewDiePie. There's a picture of him. More girls in bikinis. Fat guy with an anonymous hat on his head. People making fun of him. More anime stuff. Troll face stuff. I mean, that's it. Oh, this is stuff I'd skip through. Now it's people. It's like girls at a wedding photo, and then it's like, okay, I was worried there. I thought for sure. And then it's like, has anyone seen any of these girls topless before? And then it's like, and then there's more photos of these girls. So I mean, it's just like random stuff. I mean, it's very juvenile, but it's not. Now there's Red Dead Redemption stuff. I don't know. Reid, have you ever gone to 4chan?
Not really. I've only been there just a few times.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I went on it like a couple times. My friend showed it to me, and I thought, this seems like random shit. And if I wanted to look at porn, why wouldn't I just go watch porn?
It's just not as funny. Like that's the thing. The randomness is the experience. Did you guys ever do chat roulette? Was that Dustin? Did you ever get on chat roulette back in the day?
I didn't.
Reid, did you?
I did not, because I always thought there would be some dude jacking off.
That's what it always was. Yeah, that's what it always was. There's some guy trying to see your dick or something like that. And it was created for like you to be able to talk to a random person on the other side of the world. And all it did was turn into gay men jerking off and stuff like that. But that was like the fun thing to do at a party, right? Is you'd say, "Oh, let's turn on chat roulette because we're all
No,
drunk." And,
you know what? That's true, but we did something different. Like,
what,
it was there's like this streaming site. It's called you. That's the one that Rogan used to use.
Ustream. Yeah,
Ustream. Yeah,
Ustream.
there you go. So you go on there and you see like a bunch of random shit, and then you just see people who are sad that have like no friends. Like the worst one was like this rich dude who had like this super decked out fucking like rec room, and he's just kind of sitting there sad because he has no friends. And we like really felt bad for them, and then there's people, ugly people, usually showing their breasts and whatnot. So you get your gamut of weird people on your stream.
Okay.
But we didn't participate in it. We just watched people, and you can of course send them messages and talk to them.
We
okay.
participated. I mean, we did it a few times. When was this? This was like 2008, 2009. So that's when I
No,
was
you know
in.
what? We did participate, and I remember like it was just people asking to see the girl's feet. That's basically was a bunch of requests of that nature.
But I mean, like, so for us, like, we grew up with this technology. We grew up without this technology. Reid, I'm guessing I'm 34. I think Dusty, you're like my age too, right? Like a little bit in that range.
Yeah, I'm 30. I think 8.
35 or 38. So
I don't even keep track of my age.
okay,
anymore.
but we started with dial-up internet, and then it was a big deal when we got our T1 line, which was a whole 2 megs, which is like back then it was like holy shit, 2 megs. That's so much. Like we're all on like 100 meg connections likely, so or 30 at least. So I guess it's just like it's weird for me because we grew up without that stuff, and then it was there. We know how to use this stuff. But to us, like it was never like I remember people that would get super crazy with video games, like my brother would, and that would be his whole thing. Like he'd play this game called Dragon Realms that we found on AOL, and it was all in Unix code. You had to use like Unix code for it, and it was just a text-based game. And I was like, this looks so fucking boring. Like, why would you ever want to play this? And then what was that one game where people killed themselves when they lost their characters or something? It was like Second Life.
Second Life.
Yeah.
I don't think you can lose your character in Second Life.
Maybe it's EverQuest.
EverQuest, I think you can. Diablo, you can, depending on what mode you play.
Yeah. But anyways, so I just always thought that stuff was weird. Like I was like, yeah, I don't have a ton of friends in school, but I mean, I still have an opportunity to like do something with myself as an adult. Like I don't think this is my only status in life. So I don't know what the difference is. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird. I mean, also too, like I remember being in 8th grade when Columbine first happened and all that stuff, and that was like a game changer. And then it just continued to happen. So, but I don't know. I mean, like I got bullied in school. I know Dusty, you got bullied in school. Reid, did you get bullied?
No, not really.
Reid was a cool guy. Reid was one of the guys that he'd put his friends up to bully us.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I got bullied, definitely.
Well, I did both. So
I did both.
You bullied people too?
Yeah, I bullied people in middle school. Because that's when I got my growth spurt.
Oh, okay.
And you went after the people that made fun of you for wearing your bike shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was like it was like the early 90s, so everybody dressed up like wannabe gangsters and listened to gangster rap. And it was like a different era. But
I remember like everyone wanted to wear really, really baggy jeans. And that's
basically. They had the ravers, you had the
Jinko jeans.
You had the grunge kids. You had the little wannabe gangsters. This is right at the height of puberty. So this is when people are just dressing wacky as fuck and don't know what to do with themselves. But yeah, I was a bully specifically in the 7th grade. I got out of it after that. But yeah, I was a punk. I remember I collected X-Men trading cards when I was this fat kid, and
Did
I
you
had
steal
a
his X-Men
duplicate of
cards?
no. I had a duplicate of the card of the Blob, and while I was walking down the aisle, I just casually placed that card on his desk, and he just came.
You cold-hearted bastard! How dare you?
Yeah, and then I walked away, and then he just like crumbled the card up, and he's like super mad.
Oh, okay.
But I think that shaming actually motivated him later on in life to like lose weight. I don't know if that particular shaming did, but he did lose weight later on.
No,
Yeah,
okay.
I got picked on for being fat and stuff like that, and I don't know how to talk to girls or any of that stuff. So I mean that motivated me to like want to improve myself. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Well,
let's get to these topics. Game of Thrones
yeah,
coming on. Reed's gonna have to leave soon. I think it
yeah.
might already be too late.
And the more important topics, the fantasy and the science fiction. Like, well, we could go a lot of different angles with that. I know all of us have talked about this a little bit before, at least I think.
I'm a big Philip K. Dick fan and Michael Crichton fan. I like Isaac Asimov. I did read the Edward Rice Burroughs books, the John Carter from Mars books. Those were kind of cool, but they weren't. It's more fantasy and a space western. It was before like science fiction became science fiction. They were just a bunch of space fantasies or space westerns.
Okay. I haven't read those last ones. Have you guys? Drew and Dusty?
Which ones?
No.
The last ones you mentioned there?
Oh, John Carter from Mars.
Yeah.
Those ones? Yeah, they were written in the like 1920s. There's like
Okay.
they go to Mars and it's like every book's kind of the same book. He just like there's a different kind of Martian that he didn't know about. Some
Okay.
live underneath, and then the movie was like kind of cool, but it just didn't.
I remember that movie. So that
Yeah,
movie is based off of a book. I was
well,
like, John Carter from Mars. What the fuck
it's
kind of title for a movie is this?
yeah, they made a bunch of they took a lot of the stories and put them together. The movie's been poorly read. The book's been poorly done a lot. I think it'd be better as a cartoon. Personally,
Okay.
like I think it'd be better as like an old school cartoon, like something you would have watched that was made in the 70s. But it's not really science fiction, but it's like before there was science fiction, there was that.
Okay.
So I read those. They're easy to read. They weren't long. I had them all on my phone.
Well, there's like I like Philip K. Dick too. I haven't read that much of his work yet, but the Polish Christian Bale recommended Man in the High Castle to me, which I really want to check out. And then of course there are lots of movies based on his work too,
Short
like Minority
stories.
Report, for example. Yeah.
Total Recall.
And I love Isaac Asimov too. I've read his Robot series and his Foundation series. I like his Foundation series particularly even more than the Robot series. I know you haven't read Isaac Asimov yet, Dusty. Have you read Isaac Asimov and Philip K. Dick, Reid?
No, I'm not that really particularly well read in much of any sci-fi, pretty much.
Oh no? Okay. What about fantasy? I know you've probably read the Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones books.
I've read, I think, 2 of the books, and Lord of the Rings, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that you haven't read the books. So you read like the first 2?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
That is quite an accomplishment, by the way, to read those 2 books because they're very big books, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh well, like like
I didn't read the books, but the show's great.
You should. Dusty's like our resident fantasy expert. Like he's read all of the Game of Thrones books, like I have, and then he got me this past year to read the entire Wheel of Time fantasy series too, which is there are 14 books and they're all like almost Game of Thrones length. They're all 700 to 1,000 pages each or so.
You read all of them?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Dusty, I was just talking about how you got me to read all of the Wheel of Time books this past year.
Yeah, it's a massive undertaking, so I don't make that recommendation lightly.
Yeah.
So it's 15 books. And
Oh,
it's
yeah, it's
not
15.
like other series where they're like collections of trilogies and things like that. It's like an entire story from beginning to end in 15 books. Well, 14
Yeah.
books. So it's pretty massive
Yeah.
undertaking for anybody. And plus, they're going to start filming the show in September, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a good time to get into it.
And I would say it's more complex than Game of Thrones, but it's different. It's different, and I still prefer Game of Thrones personally for fantasy because I like this whole like breaking down the traditional fantasy archetypes and like romanticized notions and stuff. But if you're looking for more of a, since it's I know you guys have watched more of the show though, so and I know Dusty has told me that it changes as the seasons go on, but at least at the start of the show, if it matches up with the books, it's more like political scheming and stuff, which I actually find more interesting for the most part too. But if you're looking for more of the like Lord of the Rings style fantasy, like magical creatures and sword fights and stuff, along with a phenomenally complex story with really detailed worlds and different cultures and stuff, that's I'd recommend that.
Reid, what is your opinion of Game of Thrones, or not Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings movie series versus the books versus the cartoons?
I never saw the cartoons.
What? The cartoon Return of the King and
Rankin and Bass.
what's that?
Rankin and Bass, those
Is that
cartoons.
were those the rotoscope ones or whatever it was?
Well, there was two different the
Yeah,
Hobbit
there's
and
the
Return of the
rotoscope.
King. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the rotoscope ones, and then there's the Rankin and Bass ones.
Yeah, the Bass ones were the better ones. But I thought, I mean, they were different. My brother read the books and he preferred the movies because he thought that Tolkien would just give way too much detail. But then I had other friends that were like, no, you just could never make a movie because it all needs to be in there. Because they go into great detail apparently about characters that have nothing to do with the story, but then it's just like a whole subplot because of who this character is.
Changed.
Yeah.
The whole ending is different.
I actually kind of like the movies more than the books because like for one thing, the movies, they're much more fast, they move much more quickly than the books. Like in the Fellowship of the Ring, for example, it takes like months after Gandalf tells Frodo that we should go on a quest before he decides to go on the actual quest, and then it takes way longer. Yeah, yeah, that's true, isn't it? It's years. It's not even months. Yeah.
Yeah, the first time he comes, and it comes back years later. It's a pretty long time. I think it's like 20 years when he comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the books too much, but yeah, the films are some of my favorite films of all time. Yeah, really great.
Yeah, like Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Apparently awesome. The Hobbit was done so poorly because Guillermo del Toro was supposed to make the films and he decided to not make the film, so he helped write the script. And so like Peter Jackson did all this prep work to make the Lord of the Rings movies, and then when the Hobbit was made, there was like not even half the prep, and he just was thrown into being the director and was never supposed to be. So the Hobbit just wasn't as good, from my understanding.
And also,
the Hobbit went wildly off the rails.
Yeah. Well, you were saying that they added stuff from the Silmarillion and from the appendices too, right? And they also
added the whole battle with Sauron's spirit. That's all Silmarillion.
Yeah. And they were originally going to make that 2 movies. It was originally going to be 2 movies, and
They
then
should have.
once I think it was after they completed, it wasn't until after they completed the first one, I think, and they were already shooting the second one that they thought was going to be the second and final one, that they decided to make it a trilogy. So I watched the special features on the Blu-ray, and they talk about how when that happened, the second movie was the hardest one to make because they had to put stuff from what was going to be the second and final one into the second one, and then push all the ending parts of the second one into the end parts of the third one, and then make a totally new middle for the third one. But they had to kind of stretch out the story a whole lot the most in the second one, more than any of the others.
Well, yeah, they extremely stretched that story. So
Yeah.
there's the little town of humans. They go way deep into that
Mhm.
in the movies, and it's like, yeah, those characters. Well, the one character exists,
Oh,
but they
Bard?
made like this. Yeah, he's like the only one that they go into detail in the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah,
But
Lake
like, there's
Town
this.
is barely mentioned.
Yeah, it's only mentioned during the part where Smog actually attacks it, but in the movie it becomes like this. Like what? The second episode is basically all Lake Town, isn't it?
I think
Like
it's
a lot of it
a
is.
lot of it takes place in Lake Town, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like they added all this stuff for the second movie. Also, that the scene with Smog is super long as well. Like
Yeah.
they added so much to it, and I think
Yeah.
it just went off the rails in that way.
The best
And
part,
then one of my favorite characters, they only gave him like 10 seconds of screen time in the last movie, and I was like, oh fuck this shit.
Which one?
Bjorn, because he's the one that actually comes in and mops up the entire army by himself.
Yeah.
And they don't really show that. They just they drop him in, like, and show him fall down for a couple seconds, and that's it. Like,
my
that's
favorite,
bullshit.
my favorite part was the Smeagol riddle scene with Bilbo. That was really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was nice to finally see that in film version too, because that's like a favorite scene from a lot of fans in general too.
Yeah, that is like the scene in The Hobbit. Like, that's one of the
So-
more memorable scenes in the cartoon as well.
So you prefer the cartoon over
The cartoon
the trilogy?
Hobbit is way better. Yeah,
It's really good.
the cartoon
I was a
Hobbit's
fan.
great.
It's on the same level as that cartoon we reviewed on Mixed Mental Arts.
Watership Down?
Watership Down.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
definitely a good movie. Like, I would definitely recommend the Hobbit animated version over the trilogy. The trilogy is just super bloated.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should watch the animated one. That sounds cool.
Yeah, you can probably find it somewhere on the dark net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
pretty sure.
I guess you don't know that much. You don't know that much then, Reid, about how the Game of Thrones show is different from the movies. Then, hey, or I mean the show.
Books.
Yeah.
Books.
Yeah. Books.
No, not really. No.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it not being different. Or being different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. I think it's fine. I just wish they had some of my favorite characters, like Strong Belwas is not in it. I love that dude. But there are some things that they can do in the book that they absolutely couldn't have done in the show, like how they reveal Sir Barristan as he's like disguised as an old man throughout like an entire book, and we really don't know who he is. Like, they wouldn't have been able to do that in the show.
That's one of the things with writing, where you can reveal to your reader only as much as you want to reveal, but if you were actually physically showing the character, you would have to have some fucking weird disguise that wouldn't make sense if you actually wanted to get away with that.
Hey, so was what's her face's was Arya's sword teacher? Was that the faceless man? That's what I want to know.
No.
You sure?
You're talking about Serial Pharrell?
Yeah.
No, they're two different people.
Okay, because the show kind of left it open for interpretation.
Well, I guess maybe I don't know. Maybe they might do something in the show, but there's like entire huge things that are left out of the show. Like there's actually supposed to be this whole other faction that's completely gone because there's actually another Targaryen heir, um, who's basically has more heir, like more direct line to the throne than Daenerys, but I guess they kind of did that with Jon Snow in the show. But it's weird because they try to combine a whole bunch of different characters, and it ends up kind of strange because there's
Yeah.
supposed to be. I think there's that scene in the book where I forgot his name, but he's a Targaryen heir. He comes to plead with Daenerys, and then he tries to like tame the dragons, and they basically melt them on the spot.
Is it kind of like what
Oh,
happened to her
yeah.
brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, but he was like really trying to wed Daenerys, even though they're related, which is gross. But that's
Yeah.
the thing about Targaryens is they marry each other, and
Yeah.
incest isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
why I
Exactly.
thought, well, I can't say nothing because you haven't seen the show, but yeah, I can't really spoil it for you, Andrew, because
Well,
you're not up to date.
well, I just I noticed minor things too that don't really matter that much. Like in the show, I don't remember who specifically, but they make a few of the characters gay who are straight in the books, and I was like, oh,
Oh, I
okay,
think
that's all
you're
right.
talking about Loras and the Baratheon um, king that was killed. You know, they're both dead anyway now, so
Yeah, and it
yeah, I
was
guess I
like
just want an excuse to have gay sex scenes.
yeah,
I don't.
pretty
I
much.
don't care. Like they can have them if they want, but whatever.
I
Like,
just wish I got a warning so I could fast forward or look away or something like that.
Yeah. One of the
yeah,
main things.
I'll tell you this: the worst sex scene I've ever seen that's gay is probably in American Gods.
Oh yeah,
Oh
between
yeah.
the gin. Ooh, that was uncomfortable.
I was like, Jesus Christ, this is graphic as hell. And then I'm
Yeah.
thinking, all right, so these two dudes must be on like ISIS's to kill list now. So they probably have to have like security surrounding them all the time because of this sex scene. Because the two dudes, I think they're actually both practicing Muslims or something, right? Like
Oh
the
really?
actors.
I don't know. I didn't
Yeah,
get
because
that deep into it.
yeah, it's because I was looking
Good way of
into it.
putting
I
it.
was like trying to find out. Okay, there's two like Middle Eastern dudes getting it on. I had to find out if they were really gay or not. Apparently, apparently neither of them are gay, which is like astounding to me.
Wow.
And and uh and they're both I think they're both actually Muslim. So I was thinking, wow, ISIS probably wants to kill these guys now. Because the guy in the show is a really one of the guys, his character is a devout Muslim. So there's this like conflict there because he's gay, but he's also a devout Muslim. But
Oh.
they don't really get into that aspect of it. But the scene is super graphic. It's not like pornographic, but it's more graphic than you would expect.
Okay.
Just warning you there, Andrew, because I know you're probably gonna check the show out once you're
Yeah.
done with the book.
You should like warn me which particular episode, like how far in.
You'll
I'll be like,
know, dude. After you read the book, you'll know when it's gonna happen.
okay.
Because that part actually mirrors the book pretty much, scene for scene. So when you see it, you're like, okay, this is the part I was warned about, and
Okay.
this is also the part I read in the book, so I know what's coming up.
Okay.
So there you go. You have been warned.
Okay, I appreciate that.
We have a whole show for American Gods coming up, don't we?
Yeah, that's next week.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you read American? Do you like Neil Gaiman, Reid? Have you read Neil Gaiman?
I did read American Gods. That was really good. Yeah.
I read the special American extended version, and so I think it's like he includes like text that he couldn't fit in the book because he always wanted Shadow to meet Jesus, and so I think that's why in this show like they went in a different direction because I think Neil Gaiman found a way to introduce characters that he wanted to introduce. That's a whole other show, though, man. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, like the show moves super slowly compared to the book.
Yeah,
Like the first season is like maybe the first 100 pages.
Oh wow.
kind of, and then they add like they go in that whole other direction too. So I mean, it's like I like a lot of aspects to the show, or then they go to like the town that never existed in the book with Corbin
Oh, like the
Burnson.
Unhappy Town.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
but
a bunch of like gods that that aren't in the book that they kind of visit.
so they changed showrunners though from season 1 to season 2. I only watched the first episode of season 2, and I was like, I don't know if I like this as much, and I haven't dove deep into it. But I like them. I like the book quite a bit. I like the Mad Sweeney a lot better in the show, and I
Yeah.
like
Mad Sweeney only shows up twice in the book, I think.
Oh.
yeah, he's not as cool as he is in the show. Have you watched the show, Reid?
Of
American Gods.
American Gods, no, I haven't seen it yet.
I recommend the first season. Second season, I can't really stand behind yet. I've only seen one episode. Dusty, what do you think of it so far? You've seen more than
I've
me, right?
seen up to the 6th. It's more
Not
of
as
the
good.
same, I
It
guess,
is.
but I would say the second season has a lot more stuff that's not in the books. It's like
okay.
it's like it gets pretty divergent, but they do incorporate some of the book stuff. Like I remember during the book, there's this. He talks about like the different cons he used to do. And then in the show, instead of talking about the cons, he does a couple of them. So there's like it's okay. I would say it goes a little bit off the rails a bit because they do introduce like a new bad guy, but you have to check it out.
Interesting.
Cool.
Well, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. I think Reid went past this time. He said he was gonna stay for. And it's 10:30 here. I go to bed kind of early. Reid, are you on the West Coast? I'm guessing.
Yeah, at West Coast, we're right on time. This is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right. I'll say all the stuff I like to say at the end of my videos, and then you guys can give any plugs or last words there. So, thanks everyone so much for watching another episode of the Mindgasms podcast. Hope you like this as much as I'm sure we all did. And thanks so much to everyone who subscribes to my channel and to those of you who share this video, and especially to those of you who contribute to me on Patreon. Put the link in the description for this video like I always do, and I really appreciate that. And like I always say, I love you all. Keep being the tiny beam of light that shines through the almost impenetrable darkness in the universe. And most importantly, always remember this: the funk cures all. All right, keep having mindgasms, everyone. And any plugs or last words from you there, guys?
Go ahead, Drew.
Listen to my podcast when I decide to post episodes. SampleR.com.
Yep.
Yeah, he talked to a Hotep. Go check.
I did,
out.
and Mosh Ray, and Mosh, and I have a guy who's my buddy. He's Mexican. He's like a Mexican separatist, but not really.
Is that the second guy you mentioned? That is he the Black Guns Matter guy?
Yeah, he's the Russian bot that the other Joe Rogan guest talked about, which is why I'm skeptical. I don't know. I don't want to get into it, but anyways, Reid, what's your channel so I can subscribe to you?
My channel is called Cordial Curiosity. It's a channel where I go out in public and just ask people what they believe and why, and ask friendly Socratic questions, get their perspective. So if you're interested in that,
Yeah, and it's,
check it out.
yeah, it's
Definitely
also
will.
an ASMR channel, so you can check that
Yeah.
out as well.
Yeah.
Oh, because of Reid's voice, his soothing voice. Reid does look like he could be my family. We both have good sets of hair and
Oh, yeah.
heads of hair and thick eyebrows, so
Mm.
we could
Yeah.
be
'Cause you
family.
don't have
Reid.
the voice.
No, my voice is not nearly as soft as Reid's.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
should-
you should
you-
be a hostage negotiator.
You could just Reid. You could just make a show of you saying the stuff that people say on 4chan, and people would just laugh at it.
Sure, just send me whatever.
Yeah, you could do your own mean tweets show.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
All right,
All right.
Drew, thanks for having me on. Thanks for
Okay.
doing this, guys, since I canceled the last 2 weeks. So
Yeah, no worries, man. This was fun. We should do it again.
for sure. We
Oh,
just
you
want to
got
have a
it.
therapy session again.
Yeah, we'll do another Drew Samples therapy session followed by
Reid loves those.
yeah. All right. You got anything else to add there, Dusty?
No, check out Mixed Mental Arts. Check out Callan's new special. Heard it's pretty good. Haven't seen it myself yet
It's good.
because I saw him live.
Oh, you saw it,
So-
Reid?
Mhm.
Sweet.
Yeah, I plan to watch it as soon as I get 2 uninterrupted hours to myself that aren't dedicated to Game of Thrones or Avengers Endgame. So yeah, check out Mixed Mental Arts. Of course, we got a YouTube channel. We got the Facebook group, and we got the podcast. I know we haven't released an episode in like 1,000 years, but I think there's some stuff coming up on the pipe. So please check it out. And thank you, patrons and stuff. You guys
Yes.
are cool.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys, and thanks everyone for watching. And adios until next time.
Later.
Sayonara.
Later.